All right, I think Kevin and Lindsay are on their way. So the only thing on the agenda for the special meeting is discussion of move City Hall to the courthouse.
And just, if I can, just to continue on our last line of discussion, we talked about the possibility of moving City Hall to the county building. There were some questions, we had some concerns. There are some questions that are unanswerable until we actually know what our utility footprint looks like in that building. But we worked through all the terms, and really this is just a continuation of the previous discussion. So we just need to find out whether or not this is something that the commission would like to pursue. So I would open the floor to.
Yeah, can you kind of just go over, you or Susan, go over these two papers we have, possible savings?
Sure. In on the form that has vendor in the top left hand corner, these are the current cost vendor in the top left hand corner. Did you not get that? I have an extra. No, I thought I gave everyone a copy. Anyway, the form that has vendor in the top left hand corner are costs associated with maintaining and operating City Hall. So, in the event that this building were no longer used or utilized, these are the purported savings that we would see from vacating this building essentially. And that totals, according to the math that I have presented, $37,824.66. So that's the first form that you have there.
Does that include all the AT&T numbers or the cut in half AT&T numbers?
Those, if you were to move to the county building, my understanding is that those would be cut in half. Is that correct, Susan? Yeah. And the second document was we wanted to kind of go through and see, in addition to some of the current cost at City Hall, what would be the the loss in terms of one of the stipulations of the contract, for example, with the county, was to basically waive the water sewer cost. So we kind of looked at, well, what does that amount to, and what does that mean in terms of lost revenue for the city? The lost revenue is on the very bottom section of your form there. In terms of water, that's about $6,211, and in terms of see, well, water, that'd be basically $6,200. So with the lease being $1,000 per month, essentially. Oh, you don't have that form? Not with me. Okay. I handed two documents out.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, those are.
Or Randy said they did.
Yeah, I thought we had enough. Are we one short?
Well, we're
Okay.
one man short, so.
Well, yeah. Will you make a copy of this, please? And I'll just kind of say that the information that I had was that, let's see, well, I gave away my only copy, obviously. It was 6,200 and some odd dollars at the very bottom, which is the amount of revenue that we would lose if we were to relocate to the county, meaning that after we waive their bill, that is the amount of revenue that we would no longer receive, which is a stipulation of the contract that was actually presented originally.
Where are you at? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I don't have the form in front of me, but it's the
This
one there at the very bottom
Okay.
under courthouse. You'll see where it says water.
Uh-huh.
So that is the bill that the county pays. Now, part of our stipulation of our contract says that we would waive. Thank you.
Wait.
We
Okay.
would waive
makes
that
sense. Okay.
portion for the county building if we were to move into that building. So we would no longer receive that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few things that we've obviously looked at. There are gains to be made in terms of IT services. Some of those things we don't see come to fruition until we end our current contract. I think we have 18 months left, correct, Susan?
Mm-hmm.
18 months
Yeah.
left.
How much is that a bill again? Oh, no, he's got one right there. He's got one.
Oh, I got extra. So, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
Yeah, where
So,
we had 'em.
and normally, this portion here is really financial and technical, and this is Susan's expertise. But since she's serving as our clerk today, I'm trying to get through it the best I can.
Do you remember how much Jeremy how much we played crawl can telephone right now?
It is on here.
The one where it says it's unknown at this time, is that?
That is internet.
Yeah.
And so right now, after the 18 months is up, then we're hoping that we can negotiate that down at least to half.
What is it now? I forgot. Monthly.
30,000.
30,000 a year.
But that,
30,000 monthly?
No, annually.
Oh,
but that negotiation's gonna happen whether we're here or there.
Yes.
would it make the negotiation any easier, the process, if we were over there?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yes.
They're gonna be plugged into one place.
Right. And our servers are in a secure location. There's just a lot of benefits over there as far as the IT world and how we all integrate.
Where are our servers now?
We have one server in this closet and it overheats a lot of times, and so we keep the doors open. And
Oh, is that room's not cooled?
no.
And so here's a question. I'm very layman when it comes to computers or anything like that. So we're talking about the servers and everything being here. I know at one time I had requested like some emails, for instance, and when I did, it was like they're not here. They're in a whole different
They're in the
place.
cloud.
They're in the cloud. They're
Mhm.
off in the wild blue yonder. Will that still be that way if we're at the courthouse, or will we have
Yes.
more hands-on?
They're
with
in
the
the
servers
cloud.
there.
They'll still be in the cloud, but from a technical standpoint, I feel like we have people in place that know how to retrieve those.
Okay. Because I feel like at that point in time, I believe you probably know of the instance I'm talking about. I asked for some open records, and it was told me there was none, and then they obviously appeared later.
Mhm.
So that would have been something I would think that, over there, I just didn't know if we're still going to be able to mess with the computers or whether it would be more
Yeah. Well,
able
there's
to find things.
we're hoping to get away from some of these servers and do a different type of storage. And Shane can talk to that a lot better than I can. But right now we're paying for some services. There's a lot of things that we will be able to reduce cost that we're paying for now with items that we already have available to us. So I'm going to give you an example. We currently pay for licenses for Dropbox. And we already have OneDrive, which is free to us through Microsoft 365. And so we'll make that migration eventually over to that. But of course, it needs to be very coordinated when we do that because all of our files are on Dropbox right now. So there's some things, and there's security rules and everything else that's as associated with Dropbox. And so we'll just want to make sure that we have all our T's crossed and I's dotted. So. And those are savings that are going to happen no matter what. That's the benefit of us contracting with the county because they have the expertise.
But you say those are, whether we move or not, those are savings coming.
So is there, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing expenses and yearly charges and things like that. Have we did a cost analysis exactly how many dollars we would save by moving over, like in total?
That page right there, that $37,000, if we shut this building down, that's what you would save.
Plus-
Over the
plus
one that
the-
says vendor at the top
Plus some on the internet.
and some on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So we're liable to save $50,000
Mhm.
approximately.
Yep.
And how many years contract would we sign up for? I mean, lease if we.
I think it was a 10-year contract, wasn't it?
The terms were 10 years, September to September.
I think with the we could get like
21
if
to-
we ever decided to leave as a 6-month buyout or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm actually
Right,
trying to
3 months.
pull
6
up the
months,
contract. I thought I had it with me, but
6.
So if we got into a heated battle or something, and they said, and did they have the opportunity to kick us out?
If we're a bad tenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
do
they would have
6
to give us
months,
6
same
months.
thing. Mhm.
I think if I remember right, what I read, if they have reason, like I said, just reason, I don't believe they can just kick us out.
Right.
But we can leave at any time.
Yeah, we can cancel if we say we're moving back over to Memorial Hall. We want out of this deal. We got 6 months. Okay.
Is there gonna be a build out that we need to do if you move over there?
Build out in terms of the space.
Where one of the clerks was gonna sit or,
I think that the IT area, there's a computer that's dropped down in one of the areas. Did you do a walkthrough?
Mhm.
So there's that area, but
I
he
think all
said
of that will
that
be
was
covered by the
the
county.
county was taking care of that, and they were going to have their services come in and reroute some of those computer services that drop into that room, the main room.
the window against the west wall. So you walk in the east door on the
Mhm.
north side, and the
Mhm.
window
Those are
at the
gonna
west
be-
wall, there was a discussion about moving that forward.
That will be done by the county with county dollars because that is an improvement to their building and they have funds set aside for that. And that will be a shared space with the county and city personnel.
Kind of like a landlord tenant.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever have much maintenance on this building? I mean, probably not, like generator or anything.
Not a lot, not a lot. The generator, AC, our AC units are getting old. They're gonna have to be probably turned out.
Do we depreciate anything, Rose, windows on this building?
Depreciate? We
Yeah.
don't depreciate anything. We don't do financials that way.
Well, and I hadn't thought about this, but our 1,000 a month is going to building improvements and maintenance over there. I mean, surely over 20 years, we would have maintenance here also. So it's almost, it could be a wash, but I
Yeah.
guess we never know.
Yeah.
Because the $1,000 a month rent isn't really rent. It's really to,
It's going into a fund for
Yeah.
Maintenance fund.
that, and the way that I understood it, and I just want to clarify it, but that is controlled by if we want to do maintenance to our area. Is that correct, or is that overall?
Well, we would, basically any maintenance or any upgrades or updates to the building would have to be completed with the approval of the county. They own the building ultimately,
Right.
so we would have to receive their blessing, I guess you would say, to make any major changes.
Right, yeah, that's not quite what I was asking. What I was asking is those dollars are if we want to spend dollars in that area to upgrade, not to upgrade the building itself for the county's reasons, correct? Is that? Or
I
can
think
you
it's
answer that?
also, no, I think it's
Okay.
for, like if there needed to be like a roof replacement, that would help go towards those costs.
Is that something that commission would, the city commission would be voting on as well, or is that only handled by
the way I understood it was it would be a joint fund.
that's kind of the way that I.
The city, county both has.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be
Contribution to it.
collaborative. Yeah, because I believe what we talked about is they would contribute to that also. And it would be a joint fund that we shared.
Is that clarified contractually?
Right.
Yeah.
It will be here shortly. We still have a few updates to make to the agreement regarding the original lease anticipated that we would only be in one side of the building, as you kind of alluded to earlier. And in hindsight, since we've now kind of looked at some different areas, both north and south, that contract would have to be, that portion that states that we would only be on the south side would have to be removed. It would just basically say we would be in the building per se, not necessarily on a certain side of the building.
And the scheduling issues in terms of hours that we're open or hours of service versus. the
We
county.
would have full access to open whenever we want, close whenever we want.
Good. So we put somebody in there 24 hours a day to.
Wow. I
Josh.
mean, yeah, I think it'd be just like this. You'd have access, keyed access. So I think they're set
And
up
we
a little
did
bit.
kind of do a tour. I think almost everyone now has been through the building, and Shane did mention that he would be able to upgrade or update immediately, pretty quickly, a fob system that will allow secured access by each employee into the building or into certain portions of the building.
Does the county commissioners, do they have access to the courthouse?
Mhm.
So they can come and go as they please. They got a key to get in or whatever. Will the city commissioners receive that?
They do because they have offices there, but I don't know why there would be a problem. I don't know.
Other
I
than
mean,
the
that's a
difference
policy
of
decision.
how-
Mhm.
Other than the difference between how the county commission runs as opposed to the
Versus-
city commission, I think that would probably be slight differentiation.
Well, the only reason I asked that, I always thought it was odd that city commissioners don't have a key to City Hall.
Well, I think that's a policy that the city commissioners can make. if we want keys.
There was a time I had to wait out front to be buzzed in and make appointments as a city commissioner. So I just thought that was kind of bad.
Well, I think that's
I do
our,
too.
As a leader, I
I
think
think
you ought to be
that's
able to
our-
walk in and,
that's our decision. We can make that decision.
well, we can't make no decision tonight.
No, but we can make that decision.
Yeah,
If
I
that-
think that's something that
if
needs to be
that's
looked
what-
into.
If that's what the commission wants, then that's what we can do.
So the two things, define location of space and how the maintenance fund is spent.
And again, we're making this decision without the other half of the decision, which is what we're gonna do with this building or what that step is.
Well, I don't think you can decide what you do with this building until you decide that you're not in it. I mean, right now it's City Hall. I mean, you can't decide what to put in here as long as City Hall's here. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, but we could have ideas or plans
Yeah.
in place, and I think that is like I
Yeah.
voiced that's a concern of mine as well. Is
Yeah. I mean, I
we're
hate,
not.
I hate to say, hey, let's sell it. And then a need arises. I mean, we can go ahead and say we can just list it on the market. If you want to today, we can go ahead and decide that.
I don't wanna move at all, so it's not up to me.
Yeah.
And my point is that the savings are not the same if you move another city entity into here. You can't
Right.
say that you got rid of all these expenses if indeed somebody
Right.
else is doing
Right.
expenses, so.
But I will
agree.
say in 10 years, if the police ever has to move and they go back and say, well, Randy said that, we had the same expenses before, so I mean, we're gonna have them expenses if we move no matter what, whether it's a city hall, whether it's to the hospital, whether it's to Walmart, you're gonna have expenses moving the police department, no matter what building it's in. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I'm following.
If you
Josh.
move the
My
police
point is,
department
though,
if I'm just saying, if you move the police department, you're gonna have expenses where it goes.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
We're partially making this decision based on the savings that it's going to bring. And those savings are credited to the expenses on this building. So if we're not getting rid of those expenses, then you gotta transition me to the amount of savings it is if we're still
If
using this
we're
building.
not getting rid of these expenses, why would we not get rid of these expenses?
But he said.
I know, I'm just saying, Randy, why would we not get rid of these expenses? Because the police department's moving here?
Right, if they're gonna use
Possibly.
the
So
building,
why,
there's still
why
gonna
would
be
the police
cost.
department move here?
It's not, Josh, I'm just asking the question. It's been proposed. And so I'm
Right.
saying, have we looked forward? Are we planning? to
That's
do
what
this?
I'm-
I'm not sure.
No,
what
I'm
you're
talking,
saying.
you want to discuss it, so I'm discussing it.
Well, you're not really. I mean, I'm not on the same page with you,
Okay.
I guess.
I
So-
guess I'm trying to understand what you're saying, so that's why I'm asking questions.
Okay.
How do we not gain expenses by moving out of this
We
building?
are gonna gain
Okay.
expenses, and so the question is, how much are we, if we are going to move over there, then we've got to figure out the cost of that as an expense. So if
Let
the
me-
lowest expense is if somebody's gonna move here and we need to find a lower expense place to go, and you're gonna justify it that way, then okay. But my point is though, that if we're saying, well, we're gonna save this much, and we're saying, well, by moving, we're gonna save $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and it's based on these numbers, but then somebody comes in and takes over these numbers, I'm having trouble making that the same.
Let me take
amount of savings.
if I could take a stab at it real quick. Here's the way I look at it. At one point in time, the city of Fort Scott was completely in Memorial Hall, and everybody was down in what we call the dungeon. And we kept the heat up, we kept the air up, we kept everything up. It was still used. You could use the upstairs, you could do all kinds of stuff because we inhabited that building, and it was maintained better because we were inhabiting that building. Now we've kind of let it go to the wayside. We're still paying for heat. We're still paying for air. We're still paying all the expenses over there. And we have, as far as I know, codes. We have a couple codes people there, and we have genealogy. That is a pretty big square footage building for 3 people. I think that we are obviously wasting expenses everywhere we go. And we had a good idea to come over here and inhabit this building and purchase this building. And now we're going back to where we're saying, hey, we're going to cut costs. And I think if we can cut $50,000 out of our budget over a 10-year period, that's $500,000. We can do a lot of good stuff with that. Plus, we still show good grace with our county seat that we're setting right next to. We're just across the street from them. We give the people of Fort Scott a one-stop shop, a place to go to do everything they need to do with their city and their county dollars right there in that building. When we say, okay, we're going to move out, and Travis, this is no cut against the police department or anything like that, but the police have been doing just fine where they're at, and you've gained another little area now because of where the dispatch was set, and the police and fire right there housed in one. Now we've got the dispatch over in the county courthouse. I don't see any reason with today's market, the way it is, everybody knows it's a seller's market right now. And this place would probably fetch a pretty good penny if we decided to put it on the market and sell it. It would be another place that would go back on the taxing entity. So you can take your $50,000 savings and go ahead and probably add another $6,000 to it for this building that would go on the tax roll. And the money's just going to keep going, keep going. Who knows who would inhabit it? It could be another successful business in Fort Scott that comes in here and takes over this building. So I am not seeing where you can't see that there's cost savings. And it's just, I mean, I just don't want to say, well, now that you're not there, we'll move over here and we'll just keep getting more and more and more property. Because I've watched other taxing entities, and I'm not going to name them, but it irks me when I see more taxing entities take over buildings in Fort Scott. Every time something comes up, well, we're getting this building, well, we're getting this apartment, we're getting this, we're getting that. And all of a sudden now, you've taken on 10 more properties as a taxing entity, and you've put it on the taxpayer's back once again. Now we've taken, quite possibly $100,000 of taxes that we're going to accumulate every year off the rolls because we've got a taxing entity that's going to take it over. It's just got to stop at some point. We don't need to be property owners. And if we can sell these properties and quite possibly profit from what we bought them years ago, then I think that'd be the thing to do. And then if we need a 6-month out, we can always go back to Memorial Hall. I think City of Fort Scott's always going to own Memorial Hall. I don't think anybody's going to buy that from us. I mean, if they would, that'd be great. But, that's my 2 cents.
I would just like to say, I think everybody has somewhat like valid points that I would agree with and I can agree with across the board. However, I feel like what Randy's trying to say is becoming very misunderstood. It's not the fact that it's the fact that question is still very much up in the air. We cannot say that we're going to save these dollars if we move another city entity in here, because some of those dollars are not going to be shown in savings. We're actually going to be then accumulating some of those dollars back. Give me a second. If we sell the property, then we're looking at a completely different situation. Yes?
Right.
Okay. The problem is that conversation hasn't happened, and I feel very confused as to how. I'm not saying that I don't think moving over to the county wouldn't be a good idea, or that there's not merit in some of these points, but how can we say that we've done our due diligence whenever we don't know? There's still such a big question up in the air, and you can't say that you're going to have all of these savings if we don't know if the city's just going to take on another property. We don't know if we're going to sell the property. That is still just a huge question mark. So
Is that what we're talking about tonight, though?
I'm saying I feel like the two questions go hand in hand. If we are moving, what is happening with City Hall? And I haven't heard any information as to what our options are there to feel like I'm making a full-fledged educated decision.
I guess
So
for the taxpayers.
Where would you move the police department if you didn't move it here?
So I haven't heard the validity or any information on why we should move the police department.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. We don't even know if it needs moved. The question is not
I just
moving
heard
it
it
to
brought
City
up.
Hall. The question is, does the police department need more space? That's the question.
Uh-huh.
If they need more space, you need a building, whether it's here or anywhere else. That's why I'm saying,
Oh, I get what you're saying.
And
That's
if-
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Your
So-
points are not.
and that's why I'm saying it's kind of two different
Invalid.
things to me, because the question is, does the police department need more space?
Right.
If it needs more space, we got to find them a building. If it doesn't need more space, then we don't need this building. We can sell it. So that should be the question. Does the police department need more space?
And
Not-
my question is, why is that not intertwined with this decision? That is my question. Is
That's
why is
we're
that
here?
Well, it could be, but let's just play it out. Let's say they don't need more space. We sell it. Let's say they do need more space. What's the best option to put them in? A building we already own?
right? No, I don't disagree with you. I am completely agreeing with you. I'm saying what I don't agree with is making a decision on something that there's still so many unknowns, and why if that's not vetted at the same pace that this is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I guess to me, it's two separate things because this decision has to be made because the police department moving is not
No,
not solely
I'm not
attached to
even
this
I'm not
building.
even attached to the police department. I'm
Right.
just saying whatever happens with this building, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
What happens with this building, I feel like these two decisions go hand in hand, and that's where I'm saying since we don't have those options in front of us, that's what starts to cloud my decision making on this
I
decision.
mean, do you have a
If you-
problem with just
if you-
selling it?
If you
I
go
don't have
back,
a problem with anything, but I don't know all the, you know what I mean? I
Right.
don't know if the police
If-
department needs
Can I
more space. I
interrupt?
don't know.
if you
Yes,
now
please.
let me talk real quick. If you go back in history, one thing I'd like to point out also is if you go back in history, let's go back 20 years ago, and population was up. Well, probably longer than that, Trav. You can probably help jump in if you want to. Let's go back 25 years ago, somewhere in the neighborhood. Our fire station is right behind us. This little old brick building couldn't be, I don't know, 1,000 square feet. It's a small building. That was our fire department. And the police department, I recall very well, it was in 2nd Street. It was in the courthouse. When you got arrested, you went in there and you checked in right in the side of the building. They took you around through. And I believe the sheriff's department was also with the police department at that time. Everybody was in one building. Am I right? And we had more population then than we do now. And now we have a big, nice station for the fire department. We have an east side station for the fire department. We have a separate entity for the police department. And we have a separate entity for the sheriff's department. And we have a big building here. And I hear about one of the arguments that we've talked about too, Trav, is not enough room for evidence. We're running out of room to put evidence. Is that a problem? Okay. How many square feet are you talking like for evidence? Could you not store things in Memorial Hall? Because we did a tour of Memorial Hall. There is a ton.
Well, that's where
Us-
we're storing it, and it's not in a secure location for one.
Has there been a lot of break-ins in Memorial Hall?
You have the open public that could walk back there at any time, and I hate talking about this on video. That's the problem.
Could we secure it?
Yes. I don't know why not.
The boiler system sits right on top of it. If it were to blow, you would lose all kinds of evidence
Could
from
we
water.
could we keep? And now there's different types of evidence. There's paper evidence and there's motorcycles. So water coming down on a motorcycle. If the boiler ever blew, let's pretend that ever happened. Has that ever happened before? I don't know.
Yeah, it has. It's
So
legal.
let's put the motorcycles under the boiler. Let's move
Well,
the papers to
The
somewhere
entire
else.
downstairs has lines running all over that come from.
So let's put the paper upstairs. I don't know, but when you got a building with that much square footage, and there's so many different ways to store things nowadays. I have people that call me every day, and we store things in cargo boxes. We store things in sheds. I mean, we have a shed at the police department that we store things in. Maybe it'd be a point that we build another shed. Those are pretty inexpensive as opposed to, climate control. This is a big operation here. So I don't know. That's what I'd like to look into. If we need if we're doing this for storage reasons, then there's storage buildings can be built. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, I think that's a discussion for another meeting. What we're going to do with the building. I think this discussion should be, are we going to move or are we not going to move?
No.
I think that's the purpose of why we're here. And so we as the commission have the power to say, yes, we're going to use it for evidence storage or no, we're not. That's what we do. So that's a discussion that we can have farther on, and we're not going to change. But I think we should go ahead and decide: are we going to move or we're not going to move? We definitely know we're going to improve the situation by moving. And again, I'm not speaking for or against moving. If we have enough reasons to move, then we should move. If we don't have enough reasons to move, then we should stay. But I think the objective of government these days is to have a smaller government, not bigger. And I think that's what we need to look at doing. And this is a step in that direction.
Susan,
Mhm.
I kept talking when you wanted to
No,
say.
I was just going to talk about the evidence, but I don't need
Yeah,
to
I
say
mean, I
anything.
agree with Pete because to me, you can go through in your head, is the police department going to move, yes or no? If they're going to move, yes, then we probably should move to the county. If they're not going to move, fine. We can still move to the county and sell the building. I mean, to me, it's as simple as that. But
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead.
But you can't base your decision on cost savings if you're going to do that.
Well, that's an if, Randy. I think, and you're right.
But I don't think
You're
it-
right, I agree.
Yes, you
So to
can,
to
because
Pete's point, if this is if you want blended government, if you want a different mindset, or because you're going to kind of lose your city identity when you do this, it's going to be hard to keep the two separate. Now, and again, I'm not speaking against that, because again, I'm not against a combined city county government.
Well,
But the point is that if you move over there, and you move the police here, then these things then the move over there becomes a cost to us, not a cost saving.
why would we move the police department here?
Josh,
No, why would we move the police department here? Why would we?
Again,
move
I'm not debating about moving them here or not moving them
I'm
here.
answering your question. We would only move the police department here if we felt there was a need for it, right?
Well, so maybe we should answer that question.
If we felt there was a need for it and we're in this building, where do they go? We would have a cost expense to move them to another building. You have a cost expense
I don't-
whether it's here or somewhere else, so it
I
is a
do-
cost savings.
All I'm saying, Josh, is though that the total numbers for the move over there are not accurate if we continue with the expense in this building.
I agree
That's
with
true.
what you're saying, but that's another matter. And keep in
Yes.
mind,
Okay, well-
it's the commission's decision as to what we do with this building.
Right.
And you have to keep that in mind. It's the commission's
Okay,
decision.
I just,
And so we can control that as well, and we have to control it. But right now, the question is, do we want to move based on these savings? And I think that's what we should vote on. That's my thought.
yeah, good.
50,000.
I look at it from a
Set.
different perspective, I guess. From an efficiency perspective, we are doing more and more with shared services. And just being put in my position that I am in, it would be easier if I was in the same building with the county, just to be able to conduct business for both places. And you're going to have the same situation if you do a shared service with the HR. It'll be even more difficult for that person. Also, from a efficiency perspective, from the citizens' point of view, being able to come in and take care of business in one location. You don't know how many times we get phone calls or people stopping by City Hall asking us questions about the county, and we've been able to answer those questions, but it's because they already confuse us, who does what, and so it's not necessarily about the cost savings, it's about the efficiency, in my opinion.
I agree with that, Susan. After speaking with Shane,
Have Jeremy, wrote down a flow chart. What disadvantages do you see, Jeremy, about moving over there?
As far as disadvantages, the only thing that I saw initially was that from a wheelchair access standpoint, ADA on the south end of the building, that would be, a challenge. There is the opportunity to go to the north side of the building, and there is a hall adjoining the two locations, so it's not a impossible challenge. It just means that you can only enter from one specific spot.
And I think 95% of the stuff should be entering through the north.
Exactly. Which is why most of the staff who are customer facing are on that northeast corner there, because everyone would come in very likely through that point. Now there will be options for other people to come in because there's 4 access points. But most of the business being right there would be very advantageous for people.
we have that same situation here. We've got access here, but no access back here.
Well, that's true.
We've only got one access here. I mean, that's not a
Yeah.
change. So,
I mean, we're 2 here versus 4 there.
well,
Well, 3
as
really,
far-
I guess, public.
As far as, handicap access, we got one here.
Yeah.
And
We
over
had
there,
none at Memorial Hall.
We got none at Memorial Hall.
Right.
But we have one
Yeah.
at the courthouse.
There's something on the back side, but a wheelchair has a very difficult time going up that.
Right.
And the one time that we did have an interaction with somebody like
Had to
that
carry him.
was an auditor in a
Oh.
wheelchair and was
Hey.
extremely offended by our solutions of how we would meet with that person.
And we had to carry
And
him, right?
We either had to carry him down the stairs, we'd call the fire department to carry him downstairs, or help them get wheeled into and have a meeting in the middle of the gymnasium.
That's terrible.
So it was not a good solution over there.
And as far as other advantages so one big thing that would be more for staff than anything is I think it would create some efficiencies in terms of I watch Susan do a lot of things on a regular basis, and I'm always ripping and running here and there. Um, Having a closed access to be able to focus on those tasks that this commission assigns, the city manager and in turn delegate to staff, would be a benefit because, Susan's not really customer facing per se. The city manager can be, but generally speaking, not unless requested or unless I'm out somewhere. And having all the people that do interact with the public on the bottom floor is going to be a benefit. I think it'll be a huge benefit for both of us because there'll be private space that we can control.
Yeah, I really can't see the disadvantages, and I know there's going to be growing pains and things like that as we go along and becoming accustomed to something different. And everybody's scared of change. As you grow older, that's just common knowledge.
Hey,
You know what I'm talking about, Pete. You're probably still wearing the same blue jeans you did in high school. But anyway, this is change, and I believe this to be good because it just like Jeremy just said, pointed out, with Susan there doing both sides of it, and Shane helping us on the IT side. Now we're all right there, and I disagree with you, Randy. There's so many people that ask out in the public, is the city and the county moving towards joint government? And we're not moving, and as far as I'm concerned, we're not moving towards joint government. That's the last thing we're talking about. We're talking about a few entities that it makes complete sense for us to share with the county. We're talking about inhabiting the same building to give everybody a one-stop shop, but we're not talking about putting codes out in the country to clean up everybody's hedgerows.
Right.
We're talking about just a few minor things here. I don't want the public to freak out when they hear combined government because we're not combining the government. That I want everybody to make sure
We're just in the same building.
we're just going to the same building. We're still going to be a city. We're still going to be a county. They're going to still have their rules and regulations, and we'll have ours. So,
And if I can add, I think the attorney would state if he were here that the only legal way for us to join government would have to be through a vote of the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is right.
So we couldn't, even if we wanted to, even if there were 5 people here that said, yeah, let's do it, you still couldn't do it.
right. You're exactly right. That's the vote by the people.
well, are you aware of any other city, county sharing the same building?
Not
Anywhere?
personally. I've been in a lot smaller towns than this, so I've not seen it. I am aware of services being in the same building, like we said, sheriff and police. I've seen county, city jails. I've seen.
Yeah, well, we had that here.
Well, yeah. So I mean, there are lots of our public works. I've seen public works shared actually between a city and a county before, not in terms of staff, but in terms of location. But yeah, no, not generally not City Hall. I think it's a new direction. I don't think we should be afraid to be the first ones to try something.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thought, really.
Lindsay, do
And if
you
it doesn't
have
work,
anything else?
6 months and you're out of there.
We're out. We got empty buildings. But if we do go back into Memorial Hall, we need handicap accessibility. That would be another
You'll have
one.
to put an elevator in.
Elevator. I got
We've
some
already-
old
we've already
elevators. I
looked at
donate
that.
one.
That's another
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the elevator.
Yeah, I've built elevators before.
Oh, of course you did.
Lindsay, did you have anything?
Something that's not listed on this is we're looking at possibly a shared service of IT. That is kind of shown through cost savings with servers and
Mhm.
internet. But with HR, we're looking at that as well. Is
Mhm.
that the conversation
Yeah.
with the county?
That
And
is
that's kind of going hand in hand with this as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or I've heard.
Somebody just brought up a good question. The city and the county sometimes observe different holidays. Would we want to get on the same page
The
as them?
city, so the city would have their own keys, own access. They're all, we're not sharing too many no offices with the county inside the building. We're just sharing the building. So the key outside, Diane, or whoever opens up here would just open up like it was just here. So the county services just wouldn't be available that day. I mean, it'd be nothing different. We're just sharing a building. So
Okay.
And our shared service people would work which set of holidays?
whoever they're employed with. So I'm assuming, I mean, that's,
That is correct.
Yeah.
the vision at this point would be that HR, if it were to become a shared service, would be a city employee that would observe our holidays, our rules, our policies. They would just provide their service to the county.
yeah, like Jimmy, I mean, being in the county, I'm assuming he works on the county holidays. I mean, just like any other contract, you know, the contracts have their own holidays.
Do we have holidays? Because I don't think I get them.
That's your fault.
Last week.
Yeah. We don't have
I would make the motion to move City Hall over to the courthouse. Granted, the county defines the spaces as were discussed before specifically with that. Yeah, so I think that's
The
it.
stipulations with the,
This,
I mean.
yeah, and get some clarification on the maintenance fund. I mean, that's not a big, because I know they're gonna spend it. I seen the thing, it's gotta be spent towards maintenance.
Right.
Towards the
Our
building,
money
but,
does.
yeah.
I'll second that motion.
And I will say, real quick, before next Tuesday, if I'm gonna try to go toward the police department, and if any other commissioner, that way we can at least see. I mean, I'd like to tour it and see what kind of space you guys are working with. And
I've
then-
toured it several times.
And I'd say by
Not going again.
next meeting, I should be able to have a decision. But
Okay, ready for roll call? Lindsay Watts,
Pass.
Randy Nichols,
No.
Kevin
I'll tell
Allen,
you up front, I hope it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I'm not convinced, so no.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Josh Jones,
yes,
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Lindsay Watts.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh,
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
yes.
Pete Allen.
Yes.